Test.
Didn't Leo say he had somebody?
Let's get going. Good evening, welcome. We are at the City Hall Council Chambers at 10 West State Street in Marshalltown. Today's date's August 28, 2023. The time's 5:30 p.m., a regularly assigned council meeting. And so the meeting's called to order. With those who are able, please join us in the pledge. Thank you. Let's call the roll.
Hoop.
Here.
Isom.
Here.
Kell.
Here.
Waddyhoff.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Full house, and we have a quorum, and now the thing that you all came here to hear was this proviso. Members of the public may make comments on any item that was not on the agenda during this time. The speaker is to approach the mic, state his or her name and address. Limit your comments to 3 minutes unless a longer comment is authorized by me, but I do have 2 3-minute timers up here. The speaker shall direct comments to the mayor and to the council as a whole, and the mayor and councilors are not to engage in discussion or debate on those items, and no action may be taken on them so that we comply with the open meetings laws. I'd like to start the meeting with a recognition of Mayor Floyd Hartoon, who passed away since our last meeting. Those of you who've been around for a while know that Floyd was a real gentleman. He was an upper level, mid-level manager at Emerson Fisher Controls. He took over the mayor's position at a time that was not the easiest time for a mayor to do it. And so in his honor, I'd like to have a moment of silence. Thank you, and our sympathies go out to his family. Years of service, I see we have 2 people, both for 10 years, one from the police department, one from the library. Are those people here to be recognized then? Oh, yes, we do, sure.
Public comment first.
Did I skip that again?
Yes.
I did, didn't I? That's 2 in a row, or is it 3 in a row now? Okay, I've been saying by the time I'm done with this in 2.5 years, I will get it down, but I'm not so sure that's true anymore. Yeah, okay, fast backwards, public comment. I'm so used to having it at the end of the meeting, it's just going to take me a while.
Hello, Jim Shaw, 522 North 2nd Street. Tonight's going to be a little different. Comments. Generally before an ordinance or other council business is voted on, councilmen are asked for their comments. Then the public is asked for comments, sometimes giving, sometimes not. I've been attending council meetings for quite some time. Not once has a comment from the public resulted in any changes. Case in point, several weeks ago, Halloween times were discussed. A policeman came forward and commented that from a safety viewpoint, ending 30 minutes earlier because of darkness could help as a safety issue. You ignored him and voted for the original time. Why? Because it wasn't a councilman's idea? He's an expert. He's your expert, and you ignored him. I believe you're allowing public comments are just a way to make the public feel better and to vent so we feel like we're involved when we're really not. The courthouse Main Street issue. This is a waste of time and money we don't have. You even wasted time discussing an outside dining area. Are you willing to make outside dining areas for the other 3 or 4 groups on restaurants on the street? If you do it for one, you got to do it all. Have you asked your citizens in your ward how they feel about it? Nobody knocked on my door, and I'll bet an overwhelming number of them will not want it and will tell you they want that money spent on other streets. Do you ever check with your citizens in your ward about anything? Having a meeting with your citizens in the park, you could have them in a park like State Auditor Rob Sand does. I hear a whole lot of I think this or I think that from the council. I never heard, well, why don't we run this by our people and we can talk about it next week. This is the reason you were elected, to represent us. Again, nobody's knocking on my door. This brings us to the street repair tax. I know it's a franchise fee. Why? Because a franchise fee can be decided by a majority of the council votes. A tax requires a citywide vote, and you didn't want that. So instead, you try to slip a franchise fee by everybody. Luckily for us, we had Mark Eaton who knows all about this stuff. So he got a petition and now we get a vote September 12th. If it passes, and I hope it doesn't, we'll have a tax for the next 25 years. Your reason for this franchise being that because you say past councils have raided this street fund, and that's why our streets are in the condition they are.
Time's up, Jim.
Really? Because
It
I
is.
timed it at home, it was only 2.5. That's fine.
That was 3 minutes.
Herb Wilson, 115 Thunderbird Drive, and I'd like to address the council about prices at the compost area. I had a limb come down in my backyard. I cut the branches up, loaded them in the back of my pickup, didn't have to tie them down because there wasn't that many. Got down there and I was charged $20 to get in, to dump them. I have no problem with the sacks when I take them down for $1 charge and some other yard waste, but I just thought that was way too much for a few limbs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lee Botter, 401 Orchard Drive. I think we all agree that we want Marshalltown to look nice. We want it to be a place to promote a safe and attractive community to be acceptable. I live in Ward 2. I back up to a 26-acre field that spans between two neighborhoods on the east and the west side. Prior to 21, this was taken care of by the owners, with the area being mowed and very nice amenity for two neighborhoods. However, last summer, the new owners decided they didn't have to care for the area. We have tried repeatedly to work with them, even offering to mow the area free because we'd done so for the prior 10 years. After the grass and noxious weeds got out of control, last year we filed a complaint to the city, finally mowed, not well, but it was mowed. This summer, since Memorial Day, we've been experiencing the same scenario. We filed complaints with code enforcement, with the most recent response August 11th, 2023. This year, we're not only experiencing the tall grass, noxious weeds, we now have a dead tree that, with a strong west wind, will fall on our garden shed, and due to the positioning, it will probably take out the electrical lines for the west side. Gabe, you may lose your power. During the derecho, that happened, and it took 12 days to get back online with the line. We have also in our area seen a substantial increase in rodent population, and rodents now coming into our yards and on our houses. This owner has also put heavy chain link fencing on the streets, which will cause a problem with snow removal. So I do realize there's a process you got to follow, but how long do we have to wait for the city to enforce code? Here's an idea for some revenue generation. Start enforcing the code, because according to your code, the first civil penalty is $750, and follow-up, there's $1,000 for each repeat offense. With this situation, you would have already made about $2,000. Drive around town, you'll see tall grass, obnoxious weeds, cars that need to be removed, houses. I don't mean to sound like a Karen, but let's get our city beautiful. Let's enforce the codes on the books. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Amanda Garcia. I live at 113 Thunderbird Drive. Kind of going back to keeping our community beautiful. I'm also kind of complaining about the compost site. They're not consistent on when you take your bags. We buy our bags, we put grass leaves. You take them, you're supposed to be charged $1. My husband will go take 4 bags of grass leaves, whatever it is. He'll be charged different each time he goes. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 5. And it doesn't depend. I mean, he always takes about 3 to 4 bags each time. Also, my parents had like a branch that we took down off of their tree, and we took it to the compost. It was $20. If we would have had more, $20 adds up each time you have to take a load. It never used to be that much. Also, what I'm worried and concerned about is, we do like to keep our yards nice and neat, but people are going to end up taking those elsewhere, or not mowing their yards, or not raking their leaves. We have neighbors that try to rake their leaves and put them in the middle of the street because they don't want to pay the fees to take them and haul them away. So I do understand we have to pay. I'm not looking for anything for free. I do know there are some cities around us and towns that do get to dispose of their items for free. My nephew lives in Nevada. He gets it for free. I'm not asking for free. I'm just asking for reasonable, consistent prices each time we go. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Eaton, 1007 South 10th Avenue. Early voting starts in a limited fashion tomorrow at the courthouse on the 3rd floor in the northeast corner. Then you'll be probably regular early voting after that. The ballots weren't in as of noon when I talked to them. They should be in shortly. As soon as they come in, they'll be mailed out for anybody who requested mail-in ballots. Please show up and vote.
Kurt Miller, 312 North 11th Avenue. I was here to complain a little bit about the money that I had to pay for the compost pile. Last year, I think I was paying around $5, and I go this year, and it was kind of a shock to pay $20 for just a few branches. I could understand if I was bringing in a heaping full pickup load, but it was just a few branches. And if we keep billing people that much money to go to the compost, you're going to find a lot of them not going there and either dumping it out in the county someplace in a ditch or just not cleaning up at all. Thank you.
The mic is still open. Okay, Sarah, I think you're up again then, if you would.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. Sarah Rosenblum, Library Director, and I have with me Debbie Van Gundy. So I don't know if most of you know, the library, like all of our city departments, we run pretty lean. And of the 21 employees at the library, there are only 8 full-time employees. So the backbone of our library really is our part-timers, and they allow us to be open 7 days a week. Debbie started 10 years ago as a part-timer. And we were lucky enough when we had a vacancy, which is very rare, that Debbie applied and was appointed to be one of the team in the Youth Services Department. I won't use Mike's words rock star, but she is a rock star. Debbie is a person who just always does more. She looks for things to do. She wants to learn. She asked me, not even the pleasant things like, how do you empty out our disposable, our trash compactor in the front? How do you do this? She reports if there's something that is in a way or, needs to be addressed. But she's great in our youth department. She's great with our families and with our kids. She's always cheerful. I couldn't ask for a more model employee. If we had a whole city of Debbies, we would be doing great. And I'm really proud that she wanted to come and be recognized for her 10 years of service. And we are just very lucky that she's part of the team here, both at the library and for the city. So thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Gab, you will make a speech.
As the chief will tell you, what you say can and may be used against you in a court of law, but you're welcome to.
Thank you.
Best ever. Did you hear that, chief? I saw about 50 cars there on Saturday. I used the library a week ago, one of the conference rooms, and then you had staff at the Hy-Vee selling popcorn, the proceeds going to the library too. So it's a big part of our community, and I'm proud to see the people that have been working there for a good long time, like 10 years. Thank you much. Okay, on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve it?
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
There we go. Roll call?
Thompson,
Yes.
Hoop, Isom,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Bodyhoff,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Very good. Speed read at will.
approve the minutes for the August 14th, 2023 meeting in the bill list in the amount of $2,014,511.96. Approve the liquor license renewals for Quick Star number 394 at 2500 South Center Street, Golden Land Asian Food Grocery Store at 11 East State Street, The Flying Elbow at 229 North 13th Street. Received the building and trade permit report for July 2023. Resolution 2023-167 authorizing the use, oh, I'm sorry, we were pulling that item. Let it go, okay. Resolution 2023-167 authorizing the use of council-designated local option sales tax for the purchase of a global navigation satellite system for the Marshalltown Police Department. Resolution 2023-168 approving memorandum of understanding between the Iowa Department of Revenue and the City of Marshalltown regarding the state set-off program.
Very good, thank you. On to motions, just one of those. What are we looking at?
Motion to approve a special Class C retail alcohol license for Thirsty Pigs LLC for the Oktoberfest events, September 21st to September 24th.
Move for approval.
Second, Your Honor.
Discussion?
Yes, Your Honor, this is the liquor license holder for the events for Oktoberfest, and the council previously already approved the open containers for the events.
Thank you. Any comments or questions by the council or by the public? Roll call.
Isom,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Bodyhoff,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Hoop,
No.
Very good. Looks like we have a few resolutions. What's our first one?
Resolution 2023-169 approving the voluntary severance of 2460 Reed Avenue, parcel 831814453005, and 2460A Reed Avenue, parcel 831814453004 from the City of Marshalltown, Iowa.
Let me, for purpose of discussion, call for a motion first.
So moved, Your Honor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Now, discussion. Heather.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Heather Thomas, Public Works. In front of you this evening is a resolution to approve a voluntary severance of 2 parcels from the southern city limits. This was a discussion item at the last city council meeting, and the 2 parcels we're referring to is 2460 Reed Avenue. I've got them highlighted in yellow on the screen. If approved this evening, the next process would be the city would file this with the Secretary of State. Once they approve that, effectively they are severed from the city, and the city has several map adjustments and communication with the state DOT and the county on adjusting our city limits. But if approved, the city limits would then eliminate these 2 parcels and would extend across the north property line of this parcel. With that, I'm opening it up for questions.
Very good. Yeah, time for council questions or comments.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
Your Honor, I think the seriousness of this question deserves a full council. So I would make a motion to postpone this until the September 25th meeting, when either one of the 2 candidates in 3rd Ward is seated. So I would like the Eatons to have the ability to win or lose on a majority vote versus a technicality that may occur with only 6 of us here. So I would make that motion to postpone until the 25th of September.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Let's take the roll on that motion, which I think does not require debate.
Schneider,
No.
Thompson,
Yes.
Hoop, Isom,
No.
Kell,
No.
Bodyhoff,
Yes.
Okay, that motion failed, so the original resolution is still on the table for further discussion by council. And if none, then we'll open it up to the public. mic's open to anybody.
Monty Heaton, 2460 Reed Avenue. We're up here again requesting severance. It's a long convoluted history with that property. I sent out emails to the councilman. I spoke to a couple of them that contacted me back and explained why I wanted to sever and what wasn't being done. I just have any questions that you guys have that I can answer that you might not have had answered in your research. I'm more than willing to have a conversation and open it up and let you guys ask me some questions if you have any.
Thank you. Anyone else from the council or public wish to discuss? Roll call.
Bell,
No.
Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Schneider,
No.
Thompson,
Yes.
Hoop, Isom,
No.
Okay, the resolution did fail by tie. On to the next one. And tell us what that public hearing is about.
Public hearing and resolution 2023-170 approving plans, specification, form of contract, and cost for the Kiwanis Park Improvements Project in the city of Marshalltown, being project number PRK 22003.
I'll declare this public hearing is open right now. Time is 5:51 PM. Did the clerk receive any written comments?
No, Your Honor.
It's time for public comments before staff review. Are there any public comments? I don't see anybody running to the mic, so time now for staff comments, or staff review, rather.
Jeff Hubbard, Parks and Rec Director. Yeah, that's just for the plans, public hearing for the plans for it. It'll come back to you on September 11th for approval once all the bids come back on September 6th. Just a reminder, this is for the basketball court, pickleball court, astroturfed volleyball court, and a soccer field and a shelter, and then sidewalks to connect all those.
Thank you. Now time for council comments. And seeing none, I declare the public hearing is closed at 5:52 PM. Are we calling for a vote on this resolution then?
Yes.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Thompson,
Yes.
Hoop, Isom,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Very good. What's our next public hearing about? That carried, by the way.
Public hearing for the status of funding update for the Iowa Economic Development Authority Community Development Block Grant Housing Upper Story Conversion Project for the Willards Building.
Public hearing is open now at 5:53 PM. Did you receive any written comments?
No, Your Honor.
Time for public comments on this one. Time for staff review.
I will be going through this with you tonight because Region 6 wasn't available. So this is a requirement of the grant that we provide a status of funds update for the Community Development Block Grant for the Willard Building Upper Story Housing Conversion Project, which results in 5 new housing units in downtown Marshalltown. Here is an update on where we're at, the general things that have been accomplished to date. As of August 8th, the interior demolition with asbestos mitigations complete, masonry updates to the exterior, structural reinforcing of the interior framing, in addition to framing adjustments to the interior space to create the apartment layouts, restoration of all historic windows, plaster, wood floors, and all interior trim doors and millwork, installation of new doors where required, and cabinets and countertops. All new mechanical, electrical, safety, and plumbing infrastructure was installed. A summary of the expenditures to date. $872,346.14 has been expended for this project. $436,260 is from the grant, and $436,086.14 is from local funding sources. The remaining project budget is $157,393.86, and the final components of the project include interior painting, installation of exterior doors to walkways, installation of appliances, final touch-ups, and cleanup. and there will be $50,000 going towards the installation of solar panels.
Thank you. Council comments about this one? I'll declare the public hearing is closed at 5:55 PM then. And this calls for a motion as well.
No resolution on this.
We just had a report.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay. On to ordinances, just one of those. What have we got?
Ordinance 15071 to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Marshalltown, Iowa by repealing Chapter 151, Sections 151.001 through 151.003 Building Code and adopting a new Chapter 151, Sections 151.001 through 151.003 Building Code, which adopts by reference the 2021 International Building Code, the 2021 International Residential Code, the 2021 International Existing Building Code, the 2021 International Mechanical Code, the 2012 International Energy Conservation Code, the 2021 Uniform Plumbing Code as adopted by the state of Iowa, and the 2020 National Electrical Code as currently used by the state of Iowa, and National Fire Protection Association, Chapters 54 and 58 with certain amendments. First reading.
Discussion.
Good evening, Dave Ryerson, Marshalltown Fire Department. So tonight with me, I have Jason Van Osdol from V&K, who takes care of our building inspections. I was just the lucky person that got to type all of this up. So I'm going to turn it over to Jason, and if the council has any questions, he can answer those for you.
Thank you, Chief. Jason Van Osdol, V&K. I'm your local building official. This is Jacob Spratt. He's your local inspector.
If you move a little to your
Sorry.
left, it'll get you closer to the mic, then the people
right.
listening or watching online will be able to hear you better.
Good deal.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Sorry.
So this is a simple repeal.
You're the first
and-
person I've been able to see who's been behind that monitor. Somehow it got between us tonight. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
This is a simple repeal and replace ordinance. This is something that happens every 3 years by the International Code Council to adopt the new building codes, and we get in front of our councils to answer any questions that they have. We also work closely with the Iowa Code Consortium Group. That is the group that goes through each and every one of these building codes and makes logical amendments to them so that they apply to the building standards that happen within the state of Iowa. This is a standard thing that happens throughout the state for most jurisdictions that keep up on their current codes. We like to keep up on all the newer codes that come through. Not only does it uphold your ISO rating with the state, it also keeps us in tune with the standards that are being built in throughout the state of Iowa, so that the same contractors can go in and out of jurisdictions with the same codes and rules. So, open for any questions that you might have.
Thank you. I probably should have asked for a motion in a second before the discussion. Let me do that first, and then I'll see if the council has any questions or the public. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance first?
Move for approval, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there-
Second.
Very good. Okay. Now, council, any questions or comments up here about the code? Any public comment about this one? Well, let's call the roll.
Isom?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottiehoff?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Hoop?
Very good. That carried. Thanks for coming up, Jason. Appreciate it. Thanks, Chief. Okay, on to discussion items, the first of which is a request to purchase right-of-way. Tell us about that one.
Yes, Your Honor. I got a request from a citizen at 1110 West Church Street. There is a portion of alley behind her property and her neighbor's property that is a landlocked alley. Staff have reviewed all the records on hand, and we cannot find that it has previously been vacated. So per the sale of surplus real property policy, citizens can request to purchase that right-of-way at the cost of $250. She would like to purchase the portion behind her property and also the neighboring property. So I'm looking for direction from the council on if they would like to vacate this alley to complete the transaction, and also if they want to allow her to purchase both areas, or if we should first offer it to the neighboring property, what's behind theirs.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I think we should probably offer to the neighbor to see if they want it. Also, we should probably ask the school district if they're interested. I believe that there's going to be some work going on at Miller. Perhaps that be a parcel that would help them.
Thank you. Anyone else? I was having trouble getting oriented to the picture myself. Other council discussion before we ask for public comment about this one?
Your Honor, if I may.
Sure.
I agree with Councilman Schneider that I think we're putting the cart before the horse here, that the adjoining property owners, the two that the lot is behind, and also Miller, they all need to have a say in this before we go any further.
Anyone else up here? Any public comment about this one? Does staff need a motion for direction to contact the other abutting property owners or not?
No, I can do that, but is there any desire to start the vacation of the alley to set the public hearing, or you want to wait until we get feedback?
I'd say we wait.
Okay.
It's not going anywhere? Okay. Very good. All right, our last discussion item is Chapter 50 Garbage and Refuse Amendment.
Yes, Your Honor. I was notified that there is a sanitation service that is now utilizing an automated truck for trash pickup service in Marshalltown. And they have directed their customers to place the receptacle curbside or within 4 feet of the street or the curb so the automated truck can pick it up. And that is a violation of our current ordinance, which states that the receptacle cannot be more than 5 feet in front of the front line of the dwelling on collection day. So I have prepared kind of a markup of some suggestions to revise the ordinance to allow the use of an automated truck if council desires to allow that.
Okay, the floor is open for discussion by the council.
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to make a few comments. Lately, people have been seeing garbage cans sitting out and right in front of houses now for a couple of months. I know that about 6-8 months ago, I had Alicia send letters to all the haulers saying, you have to put, our ordinance says it has to be within, I think it's 4 foot of the face of the house, not down by the curb, because nobody wants to drive around and see everybody else's garbage. That's kind of the whole idea of it. And then Moeller, out of Conrad, specifically sent letters to his people saying, we've got this new automated truck, so we want you to put it down by the curb, which is in direct violation of our ordinance. I don't want to penalize Moeller for investing in new equipment, newer style equipment, that kind of thing. I'm sure it was expensive. But I also don't want to put our other 4 garbage haulers at a disadvantage, because now Moeller doesn't even have to have somebody at the back of his truck, because he can pretty much just drive down the street and pick them up and dump them. Where the other haulers are still following the face of the house rule, where they have to go back and get the garbage. Okay, they have to have another person, which is, I'm assuming, why Moeller bought these trucks, because now I don't have to have a person back there. So I guess I'm not sure where to go with this. My feelings are I don't think they should have started before we had this dealt with. I'm not very happy about that. I guess is anybody here, is any of the haulers here? No? I'd like to get some feedback from the other haulers. Because it seems like if we allow it to go ahead and Moeller pick up at the curb, it puts them at an economic disadvantage. And how we do this. It could open up And I don't want us to go, okay, everybody can just put your trash out by the curb, because now every day we're going to be driving by everybody's trash. And we got 4 or 5 haulers in town. So that's not a very good idea either. So I'm not sure where to go with this. I'd like to get some input from the other haulers.
Other reactions up here?
Your Honor, I'd be in favor of changing the ordinance. I would add also the evening before, so if you have a really early morning garbage pickup, and you can't make that, so I'd maybe say after 8 p.m., the night before collection day and collection day. And, you know, Mike, I understand it definitely does put the others at a disadvantage, but I think if we change the ordinance, they'll probably change their equipment eventually. I mean, obviously, you can't just, they wouldn't just go out and spend all that capital to get new trucks to accommodate that, but, I mean, virtually every other community I go to has this type of automated pickup, at least a lot of them. So I think we're a little behind the times there.
Anyone else?
Just a comment about that. You know, we talk a lot about cleaning up our community and everything like that. And having all kinds of garbage cans every day out like that, I don't think bodes well for the look. That's my only comment about that, I guess.
Anyone else? Any public comment on that one? We have a place down in Austin, Texas, and they do it automatically at every place, but then I think it's just one municipal hauler down there, which means by neighborhoods, you know which neighborhoods are going to have the garbage out, and everybody's garbage is out then because it's one hauler. I do kind of wonder about the other towns, how many haulers they have here. And for those of you who haven't kicked around the council like I have for 11 years and Al longer than that, this issue came up about 10 years ago before Gene Beach died. He was the mayor, and he was interested in trying to see if we couldn't consolidate the number of haulers to have 1 or 2 or 4 doing quadrants so that there wouldn't be so much damage to the city streets. But that was a very unpopular suggestion back 10 years ago, I can tell you that. There was no question about that. Everybody had his or her own favorite hauler, and that idea didn't even get 2 feet off the ground.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
I guess I have a question for city policy. If we do nothing, are we fining the hauler, or are we fining the people that put their cans out on the curb?
It would be the hauler. The hauler is responsible for enforcement on their customers. So the current ordinance reads, if their trash is out in a location against the ordinance, they are not to pick their trash up.
So would the hauler be fined for every incident?
I would have to ask the city attorney on that. I don't know how that would be handled.
It would probably be up to the discretion of the people in the city that would do the enforcement, a little bit like catching speeders probably.
The city doesn't do any code enforcement on trash receptacles. It's up to the hauler to do the enforcement.
If we allow one hauler to be able to do this, can the other haulers have their trash down by the curb then too?
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
I see both sides of this, that if we allow this one hauler who bought the equipment to put the garbage out at the curb, to be fair, equipment or not, we have to allow every hauler to put the garbage, let their customers put the garbage out by the curb to make it more economical for them. And then like Councilman Lottiehoff said, we don't have municipal garbage service. So if you've got a city block that the customers contract with 4 different haulers, that you possibly could have 4 days a week that someone's garbage is out on the curb. And and plus I'm upset that this hauler took it upon himself, him or herself, that they know what our ordinance is, and they basically, told us where to go and told their customers to do it their way. So I'm not in favor of doing it at this time, but I think we need to have further discussion on how we are going to approach this. And I'm assuming part of it is they can't get help. It's like every other business in town. So I think we need further discussion, but I'm not in favor of moving forward tonight.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I'll just make one comment. I don't disagree with anything you said, Gary. The only piece is that economic disadvantage. I think the other piece of that is that they made an investment in their business. It wasn't free for them to upgrade their equipment in order to do so. So I hear you, but it wasn't a free decision on their behalf. So economic disadvantage one way or the other, I could argue both sides of that. That's my only comment.
Your Honor, I'd be willing to open to set by ordinance what days haulers could pick up in what areas. We'd have to coordinate that with the haulers. But again, I mean, I think Mike's right. I think we should bring the haulers in to get their 2 cents before we really make any decisions. But I think this is a good opportunity to move forward with our sanitation here in town.
I see a hand or two raised to come speak from the public too. And I've been trying to figure out, is there a logical, planning and zoning or board of adjustment or some commission committee that could get the haulers in and address it? Maybe we just need an ad hoc committee. I don't know. But let's go ahead and open the mic to the public. Unless anybody else up here had any reaction, let's open the mic to the public. Mic's open.
B. Botter, 401 Orchard Drive. One thing that you did not discuss is the increase of critters. So Councilman Snyder's made the comment of bringing it out the night before. I will tell you, on my street, if you bring it out on the night before, you will have raccoons in it. And it will be strewn all over the street and all over the yards.
Doris Kinnick, 2020 Catalina Place. The reason my Mueller is here in town is because Fritch Sanitation retired. They're out of Conrad. I am currently a customer of, I was a customer of Fritch, and then with Mueller taking over, he just kind of, said, okay, here's my, this is the way I'm doing things. I myself don't like it. The trash hauler, the garbage can is huge. It's bulky, and I just think in the wintertime it's going to be a real pain in the butt to get out to the curb. So I'm just putting my 2 cents worth there.
Kathy Steinberg, 309 Summit Street. And before all this came up, I talked to Moeller, and yeah, they've got great cans, and you have to have that specific can for the truck to be able to pick it up. But I have such a tiny yard where my drive is, I decided not to use their service. But I could see where it's a huge advantage to people that have got a larger amount of trash than I have. And right now, I've got neighbors that are putting individual cans out, and we're talking, a couple of large families, and their stuff is flying all over and in the street anyway. So I know it's a difficult thing for you guys to decide, but at least with Mueller, you'd have uniform cans, and a uniform look. And so it's not just the trucks and all that, it's also those cans that everybody is required to use. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Jim Shaw, 522 North Second. Why can't you pass the law that you can put them out there, and then and tell the other guys, well, you can't put it out there for you guys because you don't have that truck. So you've got to keep doing the stuff just like you are doing it. When you upgrade your truck, this law will be in effect and you can work from it. Thank you.
Anyone else? I think the haulers are likely to get the message that this requires some discussion. I still haven't figured out a good forum for that. Except maybe here. And maybe at the beginning of the meeting, we can have an open discussion. And I thought there were like 10 haulers. I didn't know it was down to just 4, but maybe they'll find out through the grapevine that that's a matter of discussion, and we can hear from them next week.
I can contact them.
Okay.
I have contact information for all of them for licensing.
Very good. Hadn't thought about the winter time, but that is not a problem down in Austin, Texas. Well, actually, it was a couple times with that ice storm they had down there. Okay, very good.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Are we not going to enforce the ordinance for now?
I would leave that to the discretion of whatever staff persons is in charge of that. And it gets back to, front yard parking and tall weeds and speeding on different streets than the ones that we have the 2 stationary cameras on, and, who's making the judgment calls. A little hard on the parking stuff because we were still short of a parking enforcement officer. We're trying to advertise that one. Mr. Gell, you had something to say too?
Yes, I'm going to take some liberties here because we skipped council comment. But during public comment, we talked about it, and here we kind of talked about nuisances a little bit. Just to remind the public, you can go on and file a complaint for any nuisance. I was looking last week, a total of 9 were submitted. So there are a lot more than 9 in this community. So I'm taking this opening to get back to public council comment that we skipped.
Thank you. We get a weekly report up here about the number that are opened and the number that are closed, and we're losing ground, it looks like. So I've actually got I've told our enforcement officer that as soon as our new city administrator comes, I'd like to have a meeting and see what we can do to make his job easier and get better enforcement. And I do have some good news that I learned this afternoon too, and that is that our new city administrator is planning on being here a week early, so September 11, I get to turn over the reins of a job that I'm not qualified to handle until then. So he's coming a week early. Anybody else have anything for the good of the cause? Otherwise, we are adjourned at 6:17 p.m. Thanks for coming.
How's it going?